tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Hello, Dangerous, Claudette, Leon, Bookhorse, DC, 57 Beige Fox. All right. Danielle is in the virtual building. Leon, Roberta. Okay, Emperor Rex. All right, so shout out. I see you, Lieutenant Maxwell. Shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen, and a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. Okay, so before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Kratz, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so first things first, let's go to this clip where they say that BiBi and them stole from the United States. Okay, yeah, and they say CNN's trying to downplay this whole thing. So let's get into it. Now I'm going to use an overlay. Give me just a second. Okay, now here's the report. It says top journalist Anna Kasparian drops a massive bombshell. She confirms that Israel stole classified nuclear secrets and enriched uranium from the United States. CNN desperately tries to downplay this massive betrayal. Washington is totally compromised. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention.
Okay, they have nuclear weapons. Okay, they have nuclear weapons. They stole nuclear secrets. They stole enriched uranium. Okay, that's what happened. That's what Israel did. And for whatever reason, Van Jones doesn't think it's a big deal. You know, it's a clandestine nuclear program based on stolen enriched uranium from the United States, or stolen materials from the United States, stolen secrets from the United States. That is the reality of the situation. Van Jones couldn't care less, apparently. Gee, I wonder. Okay.
Now, I wonder why Van Jones doesn't care. Could it be that he's been given AIPAC money or something? I have several questions. Okay, I have several questions. I'm not surprised at all. Okay, we already know about the USS Liberty. What happened with that? Okay, so anything else should not even be a shock at this point, as far as I'm concerned. Now, this morning I told you all that Trump was banned from using Saudi airspace, banned from the bases and all of that. Well, you know, that's the real reason he closed down his little Project Freedom plan. Okay, it got closed down before he could even get it off the ground. Okay, because first of all, he didn't consort with any of his Gulf allies, as he never does. He just does whatever Satan Yahoo tells him to do. Okay, and then doesn't consort with anybody. And he wonders why we now have no allies left. Okay, so anyway, let's go to some of these posts. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay. Per an administrative official to me, Kuwait also cut off access, okay, basing and overflight. Okay, so there you have it. Kuwait did the same thing. Trump's abrupt U-turn on a plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz came after backlash from allies. Saudi Arabia suspended the U.S. military. Okay, so basically not letting them use their bases, like I told you all this morning. Okay, Trump's just an idiot, and it just keeps getting worse. I mean, right now, the U.S. is looking so crazy, looking like complete fools. They have locked him out, okay? They have completely locked him out. Now, Spain shut its air force for U.S. planes. Italy blocks its air base for U.S. planes. Poland has shut U.S.'s request too. UK refuses to help the U.S. too. France does the same. Austria has also refused U.S. requests. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? And this is exactly what the U.S. gets for allowing an idiot like Trump to be in the White House in the first place. Okay? Just a complete bumbling idiot. Trump's abrupt U-turn on a plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz came after backlash. I have whole articles about him and how stupid he is. Okay? Please pay attention. This is just all so ridiculous. This is a whole clown show. Nothing but a clown show. Now, on the next one, they say Trump had announced the operation over the weekend as a way to break Iran's blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, and his top national security leaders spent much of Tuesday talking up the effort in public briefings at the Pentagon and White House, only to have the president suddenly halt the operation roughly 36 hours after it began. Yeah, because he got backlash. Okay, this one says, this is what Trump posted. Based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, the tremendous military success that we have had during the campaign against the country of Iran, and additionally the fact that great progress has been made toward a complete and final agreement with representatives of Iran, we have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force and effect, Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed. President Donald J. Trump, sit down somewhere, okay? There is no agreement. There is no plan. Nobody's even thinking about him. Iran still controls the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump is still taking L's day after day after day. And so is Hegseth, because he was looking so stupid and pathetic in those hearings. Okay, they were dragging him. Now, we're going to get into that, but before we do, let's talk about your boy Marco Rubio with his stupid self, because why is he going to the UN? Why is he going to the UN to try to complain and beg them to get Iran to stop guarding the Strait of Hormuz? Okay, now he wants to act like they're committing war crimes or they're not playing fair. I'm sorry. How does that make any sense when that's exactly what the U.S. and Is Not Real has been doing? Okay? It's the hypocrisy of it all for me.
Developments in Iran. President Trump announcing he's pausing Project Freedom. That's the mission of assisting commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz.
NTD's Daniel Monahan reports on that. Plus, Secretary of State Marco Rubio vowing to take Iran's attacks on commercial shipping to the UN.
President Trump writing on Truth Social that great progress has been made toward a, quote, complete and final agreement with Iran. He says Project Freedom, the operation ensuring safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short time to see if that agreement can be finalized and signed. The president adding the decision also follows requests from Pakistan and other countries, and what he described as significant U.S. military success in the region.
They have no Navy left. They don't. Not a Navy. They have small boats and Boston whalers, but they don't have a Navy left. They don't have an Air Force. I challenge you. When is the last time you read or heard about an Iranian jet flying anywhere? They don't have an Air Force. Their missile launching capability has been substantially degraded, and their industrial base, their defense industrial base, has been severely, severely damaged. So their ability to build a shield behind which they could hide their nuclear program was wiped out.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio remarking that Iran's activities in the Strait of Hormuz are in violation of international law, and the U.S. is taking it to the United Nations.
There is no international law that allows you to say, I'm going to put mines in an international body of water and I'm going to blow up ships that don't listen to us and try to go through.
There's also no international law that says it's okay for you to bomb civilians, to murder civilians during a time of war or conflict, specifically children in a school. Okay, so there's that. Or commit genocide.
That's what Iran is doing. This is a criminal act, and someone needs to do something about it.
Rubio saying the UN is supposed to be a place where you can peacefully resolve global conflicts.
We're not even asking people like commit troops to the region and help blow up the Iranian boats. All we're asking them to do is to condemn it, to call on Iran to stop blowing ships, to remove these mines, and to allow humanitarian relief to come through, because there's humanitarian aid that's trapped.
Ambassador to the UN Michael Waltz says the U.S. is just asking the UN to do what it did last month when 136 nations condemned Iran for attacking civilian infrastructure, ports, airports, resorts, and everything else, speaking on Fox News.
Now we're pointing out that no matter how you feel about a conflict, you can't respond by throwing sea mines into international waterways and by trying to raise revenue by tolling international civilian shipping. And if they can't come together to do that, as Secretary Rubio said, I don't know what it's good for.
Waltz says Iran is truly desperate for a deal.
Their currency is tanking, their foreign reserve are tanking, and they're out of them. They can't have storage anymore.
Well, it sounds like Iran is down bad. But if they're down so bad, why is the U.S. the one complaining and crying and whining and talking about the UN needs to step in and help? And how come they still don't have control over the Strait of Hormuz? Okay, please miss me with it. Okay, please miss me with it. They can sit here and act like they don't have an Air Force, act like their Navy's been sunk to the bottom of the ocean. All they have are small boats. But what they're doing is absolutely controlling the Strait of Hormuz and thus the global economy. So sit down somewhere, idiots. Okay, you make no sense. That's what you do. You make no sense. Now, meanwhile, let's find out why Pete Hegseth didn't tell anybody about this whole leak. 32,000 gallons of jet fuel leaked at Joint Base Andrews. Lawmakers have questions and they want answers. Okay, please pay attention. Nearly every member of Congress representing Maryland is demanding more information from Air Force Secretary Troy Mink after 32,000 gallons of jet fuel leaked at Joint Base Andrews earlier this year, setting off an investigation. Now, mind you, they kept this to themselves and we're just now hearing about it. How come this wasn't told at the briefings by Hegseth? Now, in a May 5th letter to Mink, the state delegates claim there has been a lack of transparency around the series of leaks, which took place between January and March and resulted in 22,000 gallons of fuel contaminating the soil outside the base and the waters of nearby Piscataway Creek. Okay, please pay attention. Now, in particular, the lawmakers raised concerns over the Air Force's delay in providing full information regarding the leak to the Maryland Department of the Environment, MDE, the state entity charged with responding to environmental pollution accidents. Now, the MDE on April the 13th announced that it was investigating the fuel leaks, noting that the military base failed to properly disclose leaks as required by its state oil permit and did not report the full extent of the discharge until April the 8th. The department added that though the base's leak detection system failed multiple times in 3 months, the MDE was not notified until odors and a fuel sheen was observed near the headwaters of Piscataway Creek on March the 23rd. So furthermore, the base's contamination prevention system also failed twice in early April with a containment dam collapse or when a containment dam collapsed during heavy rain. Now, officials said the jet fuel leaked from a refueling system, which has since been shut down, and a contractor is working to clean up the spill. The MDE noted that drinking water was not impacted, but advised the public to avoid swimming, wading, or recreating in areas of Piscataway Creek where a petroleum sheen or odor is present. Do you all hear this BS? And they kept this all quiet. But the lawmaker said the delay in reporting for many weeks prevented the MDE from implementing measures to minimize the spread of the contamination. They asked for answers regarding the status of the fuel leaks, spread, and contaminant, current systems in place to detect such incidents, and whether the Air Force has plans to improve them, and planned measures to prevent such incidents from occurring in the future, amongst other questions. Now, legacy pollution from Joint Base Andrews has already resulted in PFAS contamination in Piscataway Creek and the surrounding area. And this fuel spill adds to existing environmental stressors affecting the watershed. Now, the release has the potential to cause further ecological harm to the Piscataway Creek, which flows into the Potomac River, mind you, a key Chesapeake Bay tributary. Now, they say the Joint Base Andrews leak is the latest such incident of fuel from military base spilling into water sources with major implications. Because in November of 2021, a leak of 20,000 gallons of jet fuel at Red Hill Bulk Fuel Storage Facility in Hawaii caused a significant environmental and public health crisis when the fuel made it into the Navy's water system. Okay, the spill contaminated drinking water for some 93,000 people at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, sickening thousands and leading to numerous lawsuits. And that's probably why they kept this under wrap, okay, for fear of lawsuits or wanting to take the blame. This is what they did. I find it all interesting. Okay, likes up, everyone. Please like and share. And yeah, that's right, Cyrus. They didn't say anything until there was an odor that people started to notice. Anyway, let's go to this clip about Representative Justin Pearson as it got heated. He got into a whole confrontation with troopers during the special session. Also, the sergeant of arms locked him out of a meeting, okay, taking him straight back to Jim Crow, mind you.
This morning, a Brentwood optometric physician could face 5 years in federal prison after she pleaded guilty to defrauding Medicare out of nearly $7 million. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Helen Borman submitted false claims over a 3.5-year period. A judge will sentence her in September.
Okay, that's all fine and dandy, but where's the report about Justin Pearson? Hold on, folks. Let me see what's going on here. Huh. Let me figure out what just happened to that video. Because it turned into a whole scuffle. Okay, here we go. Let me try to pull this up again.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You stupid mother.
Honey, they done pissed Justin off, honey. Pay attention. Okay, they clearly ticked him off, okay? I have several questions. Now, let's see what's going on here. As Tennessee lawmakers met for the third day of special session on redistricting, an interaction between Representative Justin Pearson and Tennessee Highway. Hold on. Let me stop these pop-ups real quick. Okay. So anyway, goes on to say, the interaction between Representative Justin Pearson and Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers turned heated. Protesters were removed from the Tennessee Capitol Thursday morning before the vote on the redistricting even started. Parachutes were reportedly thrown from the House galley, and security told News 2 that a fire alarm was possibly pulled. Okay, so somebody pulled the fire alarm as a distraction, clearly. However, things turned heated in the gallery as the troopers moved to clear protesters, with one of the protesters reportedly including Pearson's brother. Now, a News 2 crew captured the exchange as Pearson attempted to get troopers away from his brother. My brother ain't doing nothing to nobody. Okay, hey, he'll walk by himself. Move the F back. What the F is wrong with you? Pearson later took to social media to announce that the troopers took his brother into custody after he and other protesters reportedly refused to move after Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton directed that the gallery be cleared, saying this is what tyranny does. This is what white supremacy does. Well, no lies detected. Okay, no lies detected. Now here's another clip. Hold on. Let me pull this up. This is his social media post after the exchange.
Right now, my brother, Allison, are being arrested by the state troopers because they refused to move when Cameron Sexton said so. He cleared the gallery for no clear reason. Even people on the House floor did not understand why. And now all these troopers and folks are actually arresting them and taking them down to booking. I'm going to talk to our Nashville lawyers to see what's supposed to happen. But this is what tyranny does. This is what white supremacy does. This is it trying to force us to capitulate. Yeah. And I appreciate y'all not capitulating. And I'm going to take the votes. I'm going to speak up and speak out. But this is the problem with our democracy. This is the problem.
Okay, trying to take black folk back to Jim Crow, honey. Okay, please pay attention. All nefarious. Now, here we have Malcolm Kenyatta going off. He's talking about for the people that want to pretend, no tread on me, don't tread on me. I know one thing, his locks are on point, but he's going in. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
People saying that our founders wanted us to have the Second Amendment in case there's a tyrannical government for whom we need to take up arms. I am not suggesting, as others have, that we should do that, Madam Speaker. In fact, I've constantly supported gun safety and gun reform in this building. But for people who want to pretend that they are no tread on me, don't tread on me, well, I would make you aware there's a guy I know who's treading, and you all never have anything to say about it. So save me your self-righteous speeches about standing up for tyranny when you do nothing to stand up for tyranny consistently and constantly.
Madam Speaker.
Let me tell you all something. Let me tell you all something. Do you all notice how those on the right have demonized the term woke? Now, that's very telling, if you ask me, because why have they demonized that term? Which came from Black people, by the way. But the point of the matter is they have demonized that word because they're sick and tired of people waking the hell up from the lies and the BS. They're upset because people are waking up to the fraud, okay, and starting to see the truth for what it is. And it's not easy to control people. It's not as easy to control people once they start to realize the fraud. Once they start to see what's really going on, it's not so easy to continuously pull the wool over their eyes. So now they have to demonize the fact that people are waking up because they want everybody to stay asleep. They want everybody to still be in a slumber. Okay, how dare you wake up and start calling out our BS? So they demonize that word. They demonize the idea that people are now starting to see the truth of who they are and what they've been doing all along. Okay, and that's a problem for them. Now, with that all being said, let's go to Hegseth, because the hearings didn't go well for him at all. He got called a liar because that's exactly what he is. He got caught in his lies. He tried to deflect and gaslight and refuse to answer questions following the same old tired script that all of Trump's foolish minions do. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to start first with Senator Kelly questioning him. Actually, Senator Kelly making a hold on. Yeah, we're going to start with the Senator Mark Kelly speaking to reporters, and then we'll get into Hegseth because all he had to tell was lies. That's right. Mr. Midnight said, yep, go back to sleep. Exactly. That's what they want everybody to do.
Here, I said something that the president didn't like. It was pretty simple then, and it still is, that service members need to follow the law. What I said was a true and accurate statement of the law. It's literally written into the DOD's Law of War manual. That's the same law that I was trained to follow, and that these veterans standing with me today were trained to follow. And it's the same law that every veteran is trained to follow. And in response, the president said I should be prosecuted and hanged. Then he tried to throw me in jail. And then Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, tried to censure me, demote me, and take away my pension. All for something I said that I had the right to say as a senator, as a veteran, but most importantly, as an American. But we all understand that this is not about me. They're trying to send a message to other retired veterans and really to all of us. If you say something that the president or this administration does not like, they're going to come after you. The president is trying to silence us. And I can't think of anything that's more un-American. Just like these folks behind me, I signed up to serve our country and protect our freedoms, including the freedom of speech. Most of us joined to be part of something bigger than ourselves, to protect and serve the country we love. I know Donald Trump doesn't understand that. And he doesn't understand us. And sadly, it seems that Pete Hegseth doesn't understand that either. Last year, I said something that the president.
Now let's go to these hearings with Hegseth sitting there lying, gaslighting, and deflecting, and everything else that he could think of, aside from telling any truths.
Requests $31.8 billion to expand production capacity for critical missile stockpiles. Is that correct? 31.8?
I'm looking at 53 billion for munitions acceleration.
Your department has released video after video of things blowing up. None of us doubt the strength of the U.S. military and their ability to do hard things. The questions we should be asking and answering are, what does this cost us and what does it achieve for the American people? Many of these strikes use our best weapons, and we're using a lot of them. We can't make these munitions overnight. Can you tell us how many years specifically is it going to take to replace these systems?
I would defer to the comptroller on the amount. I actually think it's closer to 330 billion in munitions.
How many years to replenish?
I said months.
And then you said years. So
And
we
we're
fired
rapidly doing it
years
quickly.
worth of munitions. But, Mr. Secretary, this war is stuck. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. The Iranian regime is in place. The nuclear material still in their hands. Americans are being crushed by higher costs. And it's not clear to them at all what the goal of this war is.
Exactly. Because they keep changing the excuse. Now, one thing I want to point out that you said, Lieutenant Muxwa, is that you said he thinks that children of illegals are U.S. citizens when born here. Well, aren't they? Aren't they citizens when born here? Absolutely. They're supposed to be. Okay, they're supposed to be when they're born here. They're supposed to be citizens, beloved, as far as I'm concerned. And matter of fact, that's how Sidney Poitier became a citizen of the United States. Okay, you say no, well, I say yes. We can respectfully agree to disagree, but if they're born here, as far as I'm concerned, they're citizens, period. Period. Okay, period. And like I said, that's what made Sidney Poitier, okay, a citizen here. His parents were coming here to sell tomatoes or something. And he and his mother went into labor while he was here. Okay, so you can miss Sidney Poitier with it. All right. Okay, that's what you can do. Reggie says, I say yes. Also, let them be citizens. Exactly. Okay, you got people who came here who were immigrants themselves, but they're trying to dictate who's illegal. Okay, all of these thugs, like Trump himself, his ancestry is in Germany. Okay, but he wants to sit here and tell people they're illegal. Like, please, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me.
Do you think American voters are enemies of the United States? A simple yes and no will suffice.
I think legal voters, I think everybody who's legal should vote, yes.
So American voters are not enemies of the United States? Yes. You're agreeing with me?
I think America's legal citizens should vote, yes.
How many?
Now, why can't he answer that very simple and straightforward question? Well, I'm so glad you asked because clearly he views the American voters as enemies if they're not voting for the people he wants them to, clearly.
Armed enemies of the United States have attempted to interfere in the last election. Can you recall any time when armed enemies of the United States attempted to interfere in the last election or the 2020 election?
We just had the King of England here that's a while ago, but
So
they
250
tried to
years
interfere.
ago. Okay, very good. All right. Well, Secretary Hegseth, if President Trump ordered you to deploy troops to polling places during the midterm elections this fall, which would violate the law I just cited, would you implement his order? Yes or no?
What you're trying to insinuate is that the president would give unlawful orders and we would somehow deploy troops as a result. And the evidence of our department is that we've worked alongside law enforcement very effectively for 15 months. Los Angeles would have been on fire for the summer had we not come across.
I humbly disagree with that, but this is not a
law
hypothetical
enforcement friends and
situation
help
that
them
I'm
out.
inferring on. Your president in January of this year told the New York Times that he regretted not ordering the National Guard to seize voting machines in key states after the 2020 election. Last I heard from you, the last time we had any kind of armed enemies at any type of voting places was 250 years ago. We're talking 2020. So if the president, again, I'm asking you, orders you to break election law, violate the Constitution and the law, would you follow the orders of the president? Yes or no?
The president, you like to insinuate that the president issued
It's a
illegal
simple
orders, which he
question.
hasn't and does not.
Who would you follow, the president or the
I
Constitution?
will note that in 2024, troops were deployed. That was Joe Biden, by the way.
Who
Joe
would
Biden
you send
were deployed to polling locations in 15 states. 2024, Joe Biden, troops deployed to polling locations in 15 states. Explain that one to me.
I am asking you a question now. You seem to
Now here he goes once again doing what I told you all they always do. There's 4 things they do. Now he's just sitting here now trying to flip it back and ask her a question. Honey, don't ask me a question. I'm the one asking the questions. Okay, then talk about explain something to him. Don't explain anything to him. Who is he?
like Joe Biden. You've brought his name up more than many other topics today. Answer the question. Who are you beholden to, Mr. Secretary, the president or the Constitution?
Well, I'm
If
very
you can't answer
proudly-
that question,
I
'cause you
very
couldn't
proudly
answer
served
that
as
question
president.
when I
and
asked you,
very
you
proudly
shoot
swear an
innocent
oath to
civilians
defend
in
the
the leg
Constitution.
in Los Angeles. He couldn't answer that either. So I think our answer is very clear. Obviously, you have taken a oath of loyalty only to the president and not the people of this country.
You know, I want you to also pay attention to the fact that Hegseth and what's the other idiot's name? Jennings. Okay, I want you to pay attention to how they sit there and smirk and act so smug. Okay, that's all they do, but they can't answer simple questions. Clowns for sure. Now, you all heard this clip before, but I wanted to play it again because pay attention. Okay, pay attention. This is very telling.
Him as special advisor, is that right?
I'd have to check.
You don't know?
I mean, anybody that has access to sensitive material is going to have the appropriate clearance.
Okay, so when you appointed him as special advisor, he had a security clearance?
You're trying to piece together a time.
No, I'm asking a simple question. One of your special, most sensitive advisors, did he have a security
No,
clearance?
you're playing a gotcha game like you do on TV
I'm
and
asking
everywhere else. You're trying to thread together details that
Clearly
are
you're
connected about
concerned.
something else.
Clearly you're concerned about my line of questioning, aren't you, Mr. Secretary? Because you know where it's going, don't you? I think you do. So does Mr. Parlatore represent foreign governments? He has a private law practice, does he not?
From what I understand of his law practice, he does a lot of great work for service members in the military and other.
He maintains a private law practice. Does he represent foreign governments or foreign persons in that private law practice?
I don't know.
You don't know. Somebody who's sitting in your meetings, a special advisor, you don't know. Does he represent any senior officers who are currently under consideration for promotion by you or your office?
The only person that makes determinations about senior officers is me.
Answer the question. Does he represent senior officers who are under consideration for promotion by you?
No, I'm the one that makes decisions about choosing.
Does he represent them, Mr. Secretary? Does he represent them?
He doesn't represent anyone. He's a legal advisor and always has been.
But he has clients, does he not?
He's a legal advisor to me on reserve duty, and he always has been, and he does a fantastic job.
Is it true that Mr. Parlatore was removed? I reclaim my time. Is it true that Mr. Parlatore was removed from an investigation by the White House last year?
I don't know what you're referring to, but not that I'm aware of.
You're not aware of it. Was it true that you were also removed from that same investigation? The answer is yes.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Just a liar who lies with his ignorant self. Okay, now let's go to this one where they ask him about his Christianity.
Constituents what happened on October 7th, or what happened in Afghanistan, or what happened with the debacle and the withdrawal in Afghanistan, where the troops were left. How did you explain that to Joe Biden's leadership?
Mr. Secretary,
How did you
I'm not
explain that to the
asking you
Marines
about
that
the
didn't get
previous
medals?
administration.
That we restored their medals because of that
Mr.
disastrous
Secretary,
withdrawal in
I'm asking
Afghanistan.
about
Did you
what's
explain that to your
happening right now.
constituents when Joe Biden was asleep at the wheel and he had an AWOL
Okay, Mr.
Secretary of
Secretary,
Defense? I
how
don't
about
think you
this
did.
next post? How can I explain this next post to my constituents? I'm Jewish, so this doesn't really bother me, but my understanding is that this is quite offensive to many Christians. So how do you explain this post?
I'm not here to explain posts. We have an incredible commander-in-chief
Okay,
who puts our troops
Secretary.
first. I'm here for a budget hearing about our troops.
This is
It's a historic budget that's giving
our
us a
troops.
chance to defeat
Mr. Secretary,
our adversaries.
Mr.
President
Secretary,
Trump is
please.
doing that
This
in
is my time.
world-class fashion.
This is about our troops.
time, Mr. Secretary.
This is about our troops. This is about who is commanding our troops and if our troops can trust that they are being sent into harm's way under good strategy. The mental stability of our commander-in-chief is deeply important to our.
Do you explain?
Okay, he's just trying to lead the conversation. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to lead the conversation in the way he wants it to go. Okay, but he had nothing to say when she put up that picture. Pay attention. Sitting there talking crazy and sitting there asking her 1,000 questions as if she has to explain something to him.
Hegseth, you have been lying to the American public about this war from day one. The president has got himself and America stuck in the quagmire of another war in the Middle East.
Congressman, you should know better. Shame on you. Calling this a quagmire 2 months in. The effort, what they've undertaken, what they've succeeded, the success on the battlefield that could create strategic opportunities, the courage of a president to confront a nuclear Iran, and you call it a quagmire, handing propaganda to our enemies. Shame on you for that statement. And statements like that are reckless to our troops. Don't say I support the troops on one hand, and then a 2-month mission is a quagmire. That's a false equivalation. Who are you cheering for here? Who are you pulling for?
Did he say a false equivalation? Is that what he said? Did he say it was a false equivalation? Yeah, that's what he said. He must be drunk.
Our troops are doing incredible work. They've done incredible things for the entirety of this mission and achieved incredible battlefield successes. And you sit there and go on TV for your clickbait about quagmires. It undermines the mission.
It was nothing but him full on gaslighting. Okay, that was all he was doing was the gaslighting. He wouldn't have had a chance to say all of that because I'm good at talking over people, especially when you're telling lies and BS. Okay? He wouldn't have gotten all of that out. I'm sorry. I would have definitely just talked over him like a bulldozer. Is he serious?
All of that is classified.
Fair enough. Actually, you can just get that from ChatGPT. It'll give it to you. Okay. So it's not that classified.
Progress
Just
of
have a
troops.
conversation
We're 2
about the country
months
and the nation
in.
and not about parties.
The Democrat Party wanted to socially
Again,
engineer
we're
the
having
Department of War.
conversations.
You don't
And when it
believe
comes to
easing
ensuring-
the sanctions is helping Russia?
We have the best energy team in the planet.
It's just a yes or no.
Understand the energy dominance that this administration has unleashed.
All right.
There's a foreign enemy surrendering, laying down their arms. They're supposed to provide no quarter and kill them.
You denied it, but that was the previous administration, which played politics. We don't play that.
It's a simple question. I'm asking
We
you what
fight
you
to
meant.
win, and we ensure the rules of engagements are such that our troops have every authority possible.
So you think we took every absolute effort to make sure that innocent civilians did not die in this attack?
I know that there is no country on planet Earth that takes more measures to ensure that civilian harm or civilian casualties are minimized than the United States of America and this War Department, and that is a fact.
Who would you follow, the president or the Constitution?
I will note that in 2024, troops were deployed. That was Joe Biden, by the way. Joe Biden.
You seem to really like Joe Biden. You've brought his name up more than many other topics today. Answer the question. Who are you beholden to, Mr. Secretary?
Trump, and that's it and that's all. Okay? Talking about equivalization. I'm sorry, make that make sense. This man's a whole idiot. Okay? It's a whole idiot. But let's continue because here he's getting dragged.
Without question, the most incompetent, complete embarrassment that the Department of Defense has ever seen. I'm not sure that he explained to Donald Trump just how weak his resume was when he got this job. They also call him the Secretary of War Crimes. He's so fond of trying to call himself the Secretary of War. He wants to spend $50 million to change all the signs around the Defense Department to make it the Department of War. You know what,
$50 million.
Ranger Pete?
$50 million.
Yeah, something like
That's what
that.
it's going to
Yep.
cost. It's crazy. And doesn't
It's
that
insane.
also have to be ratified by Congress?
They're making that request, and there are surely enough Republican sycophants on Capitol Hill who will meet it for him. But it's just unbelievable that he's riding around in joyrides and in helicopters with Kid Rock when there's a war going on, a war that he's losing. You know, if you want to call yourself Secretary of War, Ranger Pete, maybe you shouldn't start wars we don't need, and maybe you shouldn't lose wars that you start. But you're doing both right now, and that's not good for America. He is definitely a dangerous person.
Yeah, because he's a whole idiot. I mean, who could be that stupid? Okay, but hold on, check this out. So he got so upset during one of his briefings, okay, he was holding a press conference, and then a reporter asked him about BiBi, you know, basically tricking Trump into this war. He got so mad that he just ended the press conference abruptly and got the H out of there. Okay, please pay attention.
Show you is disturbing, and you need to watch this. The head of the Pentagon, Pete Hegseth, just abruptly ended his own press conference after a reporter confronted him about Benjamin Netanyahu forcing Trump and the U.S. to go to war with Iran on behalf of Israel. Take a look at this.
Liam Cosgrove with Zero Hedge. In recent weeks, both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel's head of Mossad have stated their intent not to cease combat with the Iranians. Netanyahu put this on Twitter. Israel's head of Mossad said Israel's goals are not finished until the Iranian government collapses. And so they're referring to the government that President Trump has brokered a ceasefire with and is working on a lasting peace in the region with. And so that's, you know, something many Americans, especially American farmers, are hoping he does get to a lasting peace. And so if President Trump is successful in that, and the Israelis are explicitly stating their intent to continue fighting at a later date, how can you ensure America doesn't get roped back into a war if that comes? And secondly, with Netanyahu comfortable tweeting something like that out, and also Netanyahu has continued bombing Lebanon despite President Trump
I would
explicitly
say your
telling him
question
not
is
to.
based on the false premise that somehow President Trump is being pulled in by Prime Minister Netanyahu to any of these actions. And that's where you're going. Just to be clear, President Trump has led at every step of this based on his view of American interest and America first. And we're grateful that Israelis have been very capable partners at many steps of this. And they may have some objectives at times that are slightly different than ours. But there's only one hand on the wheel ultimately directing this, whether it's Project Freedom or previously Operation Epic Fury, and it's President Trump. So we're grateful for their input, their insights, the existential nature of the threat they face from an Iranian bomb, the capabilities that they can bring to that, but ultimately the coordination will happen with the leadership of President Trump. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That is a man who is very defensive and desperately does not want to answer that question. But folks, two things can be true at once. Number one, Israel absolutely influenced the U.S. and Trump to get into this war, and they are very happy we are finally at war with Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu is getting his wish. But number two, we cannot absolve the U.S. from blame by putting it squarely on Israel. We made a choice to get into this war for regional dominance, for religious extremist conquest and crusade, and for resources. This is a resource war. So we made a choice, and our leaders also need to be held accountable. Donald Trump needs to be prosecuted. Members of Congress need to face punishment for enabling genocide, for funding this, for committing war crimes. We have war criminals in D.C. right now. So our government is also very much to blame.
No lies detected, okay? No lies detected. They all should be in prison, okay? They should all be in prison. Now let's go to Geraldo.
On a response from Iran. You know, we've been talking a lot about this one-page understanding that would end the war. Some of the details are still TBD, but in the here and now, there are no tea leaves really to read, no smoke signals to divine, no social media posts to read between the lines on. Iran is holding a radio silence on the proposed deal that has Washington and capitals across the globe really very, very nervous. So let's bring Geraldo in to calm us all down. He's here for the Daily Take. So wonder what they'll do.
I wish.
Calming influence with all of this, because it's just so, well, yesterday we were talking about
first time I've
this.
been accused of that.
Of calming anybody down, right? So President Trump says, well, I'm not going to go with this Project Freedom, and everybody's wondering why. Then NBC had a report, it was because the Saudis didn't want us using their bases. Now the Wall Street Journal has a report, Saudis are okay with using the bases. So I'm wondering whether we're just going to be back to where we started, or we will get some proposal signed to end things pretty soon. State of play today, how do you see it?
Oh, I wish I could bring some clarity to the situation, Connell, but I can't because it seems we're all over the place. I don't know now that what the Iranians are offering is any better than we had the deal with President Obama back in 2015, right. The JCPOA. It just seems to me that unless President Trump can make Project Freedom work or something, or break this siege politically, we have lost the war. And that's a stunning statement to make, but that's the reality. And we have to do our best. And we now, because of a situation of our own making, are in we are looking at an Iran that is empowered by the siege. Unless we can break their siege of the Strait of Hormuz, they can clearly declare victory unless we are humiliated and change our minds.
Because these bullet points, we have the proposal that's said to be under consideration, Axios, New York Times, and others reporting. This is basically, to your point, not any better or different than Obama, right? 12, 15 years on the moratorium, 3.67% enrichment. The strait was open before the war, so reopening that is not an advancement. And we're back. That's it. That's not a strategic win.
Just imagine, the humiliation suffered by President Obama when President Trump, candidate Trump, went after him and talked about the cash that came in, loaded in bags and, crates onto aircraft, heading from the west to the east to Iran to enrich their coffers. It's just now we're back to that square one. And President Trump doesn't like to admit defeat, that there is only one alternative. And I hate it. And I said a million times on this show that the news always gets worse. Yep. But our president, President Trump, must now put some meat behind Project Freedom. He must some muscle behind Project Freedom. He must execute the blockade of their blockade.
Geraldo sounds real crazy, and not to mention Project Freedom is over and done with, okay, within at least 36 hours of it even getting started, okay, of it even getting off the ground. So none of that helped, okay? None of that was going to help or work, period. Trump's an idiot, and he keeps proving it every day. Now, for the last clip, hold on, let's go to Iran deal or disaster. Okay, this is a panel discussion with Bakari Sellers on CNN. Then we're going to go to the last information on the Hantavirus, okay, from Dr. Frida, what she has to say about it, because this is all about to get real ugly. I want you all to pay attention because there's a global crisis coming real soon, okay? It is coming real soon. Please pay attention. And also, did anybody other than me stop to think about, they're saying this virus came from Argentina. Do y'all remember who just went to Argentina? Do y'all remember who just went to Argentina? Now, I'm not saying that had anything to do with it, but I just find it interesting. Okay, but let's continue.
It's very possible that we'll make a deal.
But is the potential deal to end the war with Iran the same or worse than Barack Obama's? Plus,
the consumer is really, really firing on all cylinders. Credit card spending is through the roof.
The White House touts a statistic.
For those of you saying Trump, no, that's not who I'm talking about. I literally reported to you all a couple of weeks ago that BiBi's people were going to Argentina. And then I reported to you days after that, that after they got to Argentina, now some of the people in Argentina were complaining about crops being burned or things of the like. Do y'all remember? And about land being taken. Okay, please pay attention.
That's usually a warning sign for the fate of the economy. Also, one titan likens Zoran Mamdani's tax the rich attacks to racial slurs. And a large majority of Americans scorn the administration's use of religion in war and the use of Jesus to keep score. Live at the table, Bakari Sellers, Scott Jennings, Anna Navarro, Cher Michael Singleton, and Kevin O'Leary. Americans with different perspectives aren't talking to each other, but here they do. Good evening, I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Tonight, a renewed push toward peace. In the next 24 hours or so, Iran is expected to respond to the United States' proposal to end the war. Now, both sides are reportedly moving closer to an agreement on a memo that would end the conflict for 30 days so that they can hash out 3 key sticking points that include Iran's nuclear issues, unfreezing Iranian assets, and future security in the Strait of Hormuz. A source tells CNN that the plan would include a discussion of a moratorium on Iran's enriched uranium for longer than 10 years, and it would require Iran to ship its highly enriched uranium out of the country. Today, President Trump warned that if Iran doesn't agree to this, the United States will begin bombing at a higher level and intensity than before. But later, he expressed optimism about a potential deal.
We've had very good talks over the last 24 hours, and it's very possible that we'll make a deal. We've had some good talks before, as you know, and all of a sudden the next day they're like, they forgot what happened.
This almost feels illegal to know after a car accident. Never sue the person who crashed into you if you want to potentially get.
So one-page memorandum that basically buys 30 more days to talk to the Iranians. Scott, why are we in this constant pause to talk, to pause, to talk, to pause, to talk cycle with Iran?
Well, a few things. One, I think Trump does want to end the war. I think he knows we've destroyed basically all the military targets. And so what's left is to negotiate the outcome that he wants, which is no nuclear weapons. So that's number one. Number two, he's got this summit with the Chinese coming up next week. This is an important moment. And in fact, today, the Chinese foreign minister, I guess, had the Iranian foreign minister in Beijing. I assume there's some discussions going on with China to bring their pressure to bear before the president gets over there to talk to the Chinese. So that's the second issue. And then the third issue is, I think he's trying to make a deal here, but it's not clear maybe internally who we're making a deal with. It's a little bit divided right now.
Yeah.
On the what they're trying to do, if we get what they say on the nuclear piece, no pursuit of nuclear weapons, I think that's terrific. The one thing that's not been talked about in the memorandum that I'm interested in is whether we're going to make a deal with them on not pursuing any missile program, because the missiles is what's terrorizing everybody in the Middle East. They apparently possess some missiles that could reach most of Europe. That's a non-starter as well. But the nuclear piece is obviously number one.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of missing pieces. I mean, it's a one-page memorandum, so clearly it's not going to address all the issues. It doesn't address their support for proxies. It doesn't address, to Scott's point, their missile program. It also has a timeline similar to the JCPOA that, according to our reporting, is longer than 10 years. There's been previous reporting that maybe it was 20 years, but the Iran nuclear deal was 15 years. So we're kind of in the same ballgame that we were in before, except that now Iran is way closer to a nuclear weapon than they were during the JCPOA.
The problem is, colloquially, we say that Trump is hustling backwards. I mean, that's what they're doing. That's what this administration is doing. They're selling us a bill of goods. I mean, I don't think anyone around the table, people watching, there's no one out there that says that Iran deserves a nuclear weapon. So let's start with that preface. Let's literally start there to take that argument off the table. But what we are doing is saying, one, we're still giving Iran resources. Two, the Strait of Hormuz wasn't closed before we entered this war. 3, we entered this war without a strategy to get out. We've already lost military members, which is 4. We've lost men and women who were battling and wearing our shield on their vest. And 5, even more importantly, even today, as we inch closer to what they perceive to be a deal, we are still echoing the same thing that the JCPOA did. And actually, I would argue that the JCPOA actually made sure that Iran was further away from a nuclear weapon than they are today, and they will be under whatever Donald Trump agrees to. We are the definition of hustling backwards, and that is the tragedy.
The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. And actually, today, Iran released this website that says, "Welcome to the Persian Gulf Strait Authority." They are asserting control over the strait. They're setting up an entity that would allow them to do things like collect tolls, to manage the inflows and outflows. I mean, this is a different world than we were in before, and that can have profound impacts on the global economy.
It's just social media. It's irrelevant. And the way I look at it and why this outcome probably is going to work out is the alignment in the Middle East has changed forever. There was a time only 70 days ago when the countries around Iran would not take issue with them, considering them to be in the circle of friendship, so to speak. They showed their colors by bombing all their neighbors. They weren't successful, but they caused a lot of economic damage, data centers, oil refineries. Those countries, UAE specifically, which took so much of the brunt because it's so close to the US, are forever aligned with the United States now, period. So whatever deal is going to happen, it's going to be with an understanding that odd man out in perpetuity is this rogue country where you've got a militia of 250,000 people. You got to pay them to kill people. So you can't cut off their oil forever. And right now, every day they lose $210 million. So there's 2 ways to tenderize Iran. Shut down the strait so they can't get their oil out, squeeze their cash so they can't pay the murderers that are in there. Because remember, there's 92 million people, good people. There's a million army controlled by 250,000 paid thug murderers, militia. That's how it works. Now, you cut off that money, the thugs don't get paid. They don't kill anybody anymore. Then maybe you can get a change. But whatever happens from this point on,
be in a different place.
it's just the way it is.
Because,
That's a fact.
I think that your presentation of it sounds nice and straightforward, but the reality is, well, the reality is that we're dealing with an ideological regime, and we're dealing with an ideological regime that's controlled by the people with the guns. And those people, despite all the economic pressure, contrary to what you are saying, have not backed down. That's why we're in this predicament, because Trump is talking to some people, but the guys with the guns keep saying no deal.
Listen, I genuinely want the United States to succeed. I don't want us to have gone through all of this hell for the last few months to end up in a worse place than where Obama had left us. And I want it to be over quickly. I consume an inordinate amount of news on a daily basis. I can't keep up with what's going on because I feel like you wake up in the morning, you read something in the newspaper, then by mid-morning, the White House spokesperson or Hegseth or Rubio have come out and said this thing is over. 2 hours later, Trump is tweeting the opposite. And then in the middle of the night, he'll wake up and he'll tweet out some sort of meme that makes absolutely no sense. In the meantime, you've got the Iranians giving him playing from the same hymnal, doing memes of Legos and tweeting things out on social media. I feel like I have heard, I don't know how many times now in the last, 2.5, 3 months, that this war is almost over, that we are close to a deal. I hope we are close to a deal, but at this point, until I see that deal, I don't know what we're talking about.
President Trump let me just play what he said today about how this naval blockade has been working.
You know they're going to see your age on the CV.
Dealing with people that want to make a deal very much, and we'll see whether or not they can make a deal that's satisfactory to us. We have it very much under control. The blockade is unbelievable. The Navy's been incredible. The job they did, it's like a wall of steel.
He keeps saying that it's very much under control, but it's not. There's no traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. And in fact, yesterday, they were going to escort ships, and then they abandoned that plan after regional partners, including Pakistan and other regional countries, said, let's stop doing this because they were coming under fire from Iran.
Yeah, sure. Look, this is complicated. The JCPOA took 20 months, almost 2 years of intense negotiations back and forth. 6 months in, they thought they were close, and then it took another 6 months. They thought they were close, and it took almost 2 years. And so I think sometimes this is complicated stuff. I know there are different positions about whether or not the conflict should have even started. People can argue that. But I think at this point, we can't look backwards. And so I think the American people just have to understand that this is going to take time.
Yeah,
this is not going to happen overnight.
But that's also
Well, the 30-day memorandum is to stop the ceasefires.
Yeah,
for
but
30 days.
in order to
But
get
the actual negotiations themselves aren't going to occur in 30 days.
Yeah, but
it also buys him time not to have to go in front of Congress.
But
yeah,
also,
putting
also
a
Donald
timeline
Trump.
on it doesn't make any sense because, to your point, it could take.
Well, it could take
it could take
year and a
years.
half.
But
Yes,
Donald
it's
Trump
not gonna
also
happen.
lied, and I think that people like let's call a spade a spade. I mean, Donald Trump, when he announced this war in Iran, simply said that he talked to the Iranian people and said, "Take control of your government." Then 7 days later, he said, "This is going to be over soon." I mean, he continuously comes out here and lies not only to our face but to the world partners.
Did you think this was going to be over soon?
Because I know better. We know better.
Okay.
But not only
Well,
that,
when he
but you
first came
cannot-
out, he said that this was going to be about regime change. Then they changed
But
that
you cannot-
messaging.
But now you're saying, and one of the things Michael just said is that the American people are going to have to just somehow get over this.
No, that's
but
no. I said they have to understand the complexity of this. This is not going to happen in 30 days.
Correct.
This takes a lot of time.
The difference between that assertion and the JCPOA is that during the JCPOA negotiations, you weren't having farmers in the middle of America struggling to afford fertilizer. You weren't having airlines that were having to go under because of the rising costs of fuel.
Well,
you weren't having people.
Spirit was more complicated.
Well, don't worry,
than just rising fuel.
JetBlue is
they didn't
coming.
make a profit
JetBlue
since
is coming. Don't
2019.
worry about that.
Come on.
But you also weren't having people having $5 and $6 a gallon at the pump. See, that is the difference between the JCPOA and what we're doing right now.
That doesn't change the fact that this is not going to happen in 1 month.
Well, I guess
that's my point.
Thank you for telling the
This
truth.
is not
I'm with you.
gonna happen.
I agree.
I think you're totally right about that. But the problem is that the president is not sending that message to the American people. Every day he wakes up and he's like, we're almost getting a deal. And if you believe that, which I think at this point you should know better, but if you do believe that, then I think you will be surprised when it probably doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 48 hours or 72 hours or 10 days or whatever timeline he has decided to put on it.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to end. I don't know when they're going to come to their senses. I mean, look, eventually the president's going to have to decide what the timeline is on his patience. I think he's showing some restraint right now and some patience with them. I mean, they have kind of violated the ceasefire. They've sent these little boats out and they've fired on our partners in the Middle East. The president has showed restraint because I think he believes in the diplomatic process that's going on. I agree with Michael. It may take some time.
Should he level with the American people about truly how long this could take? And if it does take a long time, how long we could be living with a global economy that's being held hostage by Iran?
I mean, the truth is he probably doesn't know, A, because, we're dealing with a fractured government, and B, we're dealing with folks here who, let's be honest, aren't the best faith operators. And so I think, look, however this ends and whenever it ends, one thing has to be true: complete and total victory, which comes in the form of saying they will never have a nuclear weapon. Whenever he gets to that point, then it will be a success.
Does never mean a 10-year timeline.
If it's 10 years or 15 years for you, that's not complete victory?
Well, what
Or 20 years?
I read today was that there would be a moratorium of maybe 15 years, and that the Iranians would also agree to send their 970 pounds of enriched uranium to the United States, and that they would promise to not pursue any weaponization. If those three things happen, that's victory.
But I would just say quickly, Abby, to your point about the rising oil prices, you talked about this, Bakari. I mean, a part of having a 30-day ceasefire is in those negotiations, you're going to, I assume, argue for them to open up the Strait of Hormuz, because it is going to take at least 90 days, maybe even longer, to see oil prices begin to drop again. And so that has to be a part of that negotiations until you get to an ultimate.
Why was that not? Can somebody explain to me, like I'm a fifth grader, like why was the shutting off of the Strait of Hormuz not actually something that Pete Hegseth and the rest of them thought about prior to?
Am I supposed to know?
I'm just asking. Explain it to me, please.
I don't know.
Okay, exactly. That's what I told you all from day one. Like, why didn't they, the United States, that is, take control of the Strait of Hormuz from the beginning? Because common sense should have told them that's what Iran was going to do. Now they keep lying. In one breath, they say that they didn't think about it because remember, Trump said nobody told him that. And then later they come out and say that they knew that was a possibility. Okay, so they're just a bunch of bumbling idiots at this point. I'm over it. Let's talk about this Hantavirus because y'all, people have been let off that ship. One man went to Switzerland, or I don't know if it was a male or female, but one person went to Switzerland and they started getting sick. And now they're saying that somebody in Georgia was on that ship and they're here. Why the hell are they here? Okay, what's going on? But I want you all to pay attention because if you remember, RFK Jr. fired the cruise ship inspectors, okay, last year from the CDC. Okay, he fired the cruise ship inspectors. Trump took us out of WHO, World Health Organization. Okay, and this is what it is. It's about to be a whole global crisis, economically and physically. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Now, with that all being said, let's go to the latest updates on this hantavirus. Here's Dr. Frida. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
Exactly why I told y'all that I was exceptionally concerned about this specific hantavirus outbreak. The World Health Organization has confirmed that the hantavirus strain in this cruise ship outbreak is the one that is spread from human to human contact, the Andes variant. As I mentioned in my initial video, the Andes variant is the only strain of hantavirus known to be spread from human to human contact. It is a strain found in South America, specifically Argentina. This cruise ship departed from South America, specifically Argentina. The Andes variant typically only spreads from human to human when there is prolonged close contact. On a cruise ship, you have prolonged close contact. I'm Dr. Frida. I'm going to give you some more.
Okay, now let's go to this other doctor, to what he has to say.
Hey everyone, Dr. Inflammation here. So, hantavirus, it's currently trending. Everybody's talking about it. What do you need to know? Do we need to be panicking? Well, before we start to do, anything, make any drastic decisions, we have to better understand what hantavirus actually is. So hantavirus is an RNA virus. It's mainly transmitted via rodent feces. And usually it's whenever these rodents become infected with hantavirus and they leave their excrement and the excrement becomes very hard and it starts to break up into small particles, it aerosolizes. That's when it can become easily transmissible. Hantavirus in the past, we've seen cases of it, upwards of like 30,000 cases a year, but usually these cases are very small and isolated and we don't have very many outbreaks. The biggest thing is that there are two major kinds of hantavirus clinical presentations. One of them, which typically can affect the lungs and the heart, this is called hantavirus cardiopulmonary syndrome. And then another one that's known as hemorrhagic fever and renal syndrome. Both of these, don't sound very good. The biggest thing, though, is that it's often transmitted from rodents into humans. The thing that's concerning us the most is the fact that there's a specific strain that's called the Andean virus strain. And this one has been known to be the one that could potentially be transmitted from human to human. And typically, it's usually through aerosolized droplets. It's often, though, transmitted through very close contact and sometimes even exchanges of saliva. Now, this current cases, these outbreaks that are happening on the cruise line, cruises for the most part are a concerning place as far as incubation for things like viruses. And there's very many different outbreaks that we've heard over the years that occur on a cruise line. Something that we have to understand is that the WHO did just announce that the strain that was found in a patient who was flown into Switzerland, who returned to Switzerland from the cruise, did test positive for the Andean viral strain. And this is the one that could potentially be transmitted to humans. So what does that mean for us or for you? Well, I mean, so far we still need to gather more information, but I think everyone needs to stay aware and alert, and we should be, keeping up with what the WHO is saying, what our local health authorities are saying, which honestly in the United States, right now the CDC is compromised. We can't really be trusting these sources, unfortunately. So we do our due diligence and look outwards. If you are a patient who's immunosuppressed and you're going to be doing any traveling in the near future, you should absolutely be wearing a mask, preferably something that is a KN95 or an N95 equivalent. Frequently washing your hands and then trying to limit extensive exposures in very large crowds, i.e. an airport, Disney World, etc. By no means is this a recommendation or to tell patients not to travel or people not to travel or to be, start sounding the alarms. But we do need to continue to keep a very close eye on how this continues to manifest and to evolve so that other medical professionals can also start to step in and make further recommendations for the public safety.
I'm just trying to figure out why they let the people off the damn ship. Okay, why did they let these people off the ship? I have several questions. Okay, I have several questions. Hold on, let's go to this next clip.
Georgia. What do you mean the Georgia Department of Public Health is currently monitoring 2 Georgians that were on the cruise ship that had the Hantavirus breakout? And sure, they're safe and in good health and not showing any symptoms, but what do you mean you're just monitoring them? Are they quarantined? Are they quarantining at home? The CDC headquarters is in Atlanta, Georgia. Saran wrap those 2 and send them up to the CDC for quarantine until they are proved to not be infected. And if so, this article, I would love to know where in Georgia. We're a big state. And also, when did they get back from this trip? I would also like to have all that information, which is not shared in this article. But I live in Georgia. What do you mean?
Okay, so you all heard that. Now, let me just tell you, the states where these people are would be Georgia. They're monitoring 2 residents. Texas, they're monitoring 2 residents. California, monitoring an unspecified number of residents. Okay, there's no telling how many of them are running loose in California. Arizona, they're monitoring 1 resident. Virginia, they're monitoring 1 resident. And when they say monitoring these people, what in the hell does that even mean? Okay, do they have them somewhere where they can watch them and keep an eye on them? Or did they let these people go home and self-quarantine? I have several damn questions, okay? Please pay attention. Okay, and it's a 2-week incubation period. So these people, just because they're not sick yet, doesn't mean that they won't be. Okay, and reportedly, a flight attendant got sickened by one of these people on a flight. Okay, how many more people on the flights got sickened? How many more people on the flights got sickened and don't know it yet because they haven't passed the incubation period? Okay, y'all, this is about to be real ugly. I want y'all to pay attention. At the end of the day, this is all some real BS. Okay? So anyway, with that all being said, everybody better stay safe and order y'all up some masks. And let's not forget that the World Cup is coming next month. And guess what? They're still going to have it. How much you want to bet? They're still going to have it. Okay? Please pay attention. All of these people from all over the world coming, all being in one place. This is absolutely nefarious, okay? I want y'all to pay attention. Anyway, I'm out of here. Okay, everyone, please like and share, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. I love you all to life. I hope everybody stays safe. And until next time, beloveds, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Hit him with that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got